Great. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Moshe Ferber. I'm located in Israel. I usually do cloud strategy for the innovation scene in Israel. I help them sort out what are the cloud threats, what our CISOs around the world are requiring, where do we go with innovation on those topics. I will not speak too much about myself because tomorrow we have another lecture and then we have more time. I'm going to be more focused now because we only have 15 minutes. So let's begin. What I'm going to talk about is basically the notorious 9 cloud computing threats as described by the Cloud Security Alliance. The Cloud Security Alliance is a non-profit organization that is busy in producing best practices for cloud security. And one of their researchers is the 9 cloud computing threats. And this is basically, I've used the two researchers, the two research papers that are mentioned there, I used them for this lecture. And what are we going to talk about? Well, basically, we all know that cloud computing has a lot of threats and risk, and it's all over the papers. And the iCloud story a couple of months ago has highlighted the threats and people concerned regarding cloud computing. I want to do a little bit of reorganizing and give you a bit more organized view of how those threats are being implemented in the real world. I mean, what is the scenario of how a threat becomes a risk and it's being fulfilled or implemented by an attack vector. So this is basically what we're going to do in the next 15 minutes. We're going to give a quick overview of the 9 cloud computing threats and give a real-world example of what happened in those events. And number 1, data breaches. Data breaches happens everywhere, not just in the cloud. I'm not going to talk to you about hackers and other cloud breaches, other hacking events that happened. Cloud breaches also happen for cloud computing, also happens for traditional computing. But data breaches in the cloud world has another vector, another risk, another way that they're being implemented. Sometimes it's happened because the organization is not doing enough, I would say, enough research in order to prevent those breach or leak. For instance, there is a website that is helping you to produce better presentation. It's called Prezi. It's a great website. You can produce an amazing presentation. Sometimes your managers, the board of directors, people with highly critical information about the organization will use Prezi in order to perform their next presentation, their annual, I don't know, next year annual revenue planning. But information that goes to Prezi, if you don't pay for the premium account, will be publicly available. So this means that your CFO can go to Prezi, put all the financial data for the next year, and this information will be publicly available because he doesn't notice that he's using a free account. A hospital in Seattle last year, a couple of very, I would say, very efficient doctors have decided that the local information security and local information system for the hospital are not good enough, are not, they don't give them the desired value. So they uploaded the patient's data into some kind of SaaS application, a cloud application that gave them better results. But when the CIO of the company, of the hospital, have checked the terms and conditions for this website, he had to announce a HIPAA breach. This means that this means a lot for the hospital. I mean, fines and bad reputation. What I'm saying is, data breaches in the cloud don't look only at hacking. It also happens due to shadow IT. Shadow IT are IT services that are going under the radar of the controls of the IT department. And this is one risk you need to think about. This is one threat. Second threat is data lost. And I'm not talking about data leakage or data that is going to someone who is not supposed to view it. I'm talking about really data lost. Companies that are losing your data. I know that, in a sense, storing your data in Google, Dropbox, or Microsoft, it's better than do it on your local computers. They are more redundant. But they also lose your data. It happens to PlexiScale twice. It happens to Microsoft. People in the last couple of months have been receiving these messages from Dropbox saying that Dropbox lost their files without the ability to restore them. I know a guy that lost over 20,000 pictures this way. You get an email from Dropbox saying, sorry. So this happens, and take it into account. If you're very keen on the availability of your data, use external or multi-cloud backups. Account hijacking. Account hijacking happens a lot in the cloud, numerous times. It can happen from various different reasons. Hijacking email accounts in order to promote spam. Hijacking IaaS, infrastructure as a service, accounts for Bitcoin mining. If you happen to leave your API keys in GitHub or some kind of project development or code repository platform, if you leave them by mistake, most chances are that 24 hours later, you will have servers in your account mining Bitcoins without you being aware of it. Account hijacking also happens from political reasons. For instance, we have last year, the Syrian Electrical Army, hijacked the AP, Associated Press, Twitter account, and they tweeted that Barack Obama was injured in a White House terror attack. This is the stock market drop after they did this announcement. So it could be for political reasons, hacktivism, or even pure profit. So account hijacking is happening, and it's happening daily. Insecure interfaces and APIs. We use so many interfaces and so many APIs in the cloud, and we don't know how to truly secure them all. First of all, because the dashboards in cloud are very, I would say, high privileges, and they are very wide in the abilities that they allowed us to perform. For instance, there was a company called CodeSpaces. This company was alive until a couple of months ago. It was a code repository company. It was placed on top of Amazon Web Services, an infrastructure as a service provider. This company one day got hacked by a hacker who managed to get an access to the AWS, to the Amazon Web Services dashboard. He tried to ask for a ransom to retrieve the dashboard controls. When they refused, he deleted the entire company. The company, the next day, was dead. Totally blank page as the website. Okay? Why? Because IaaS dashboard, infrastructure as a service dashboard, allow us one access to production servers, to test servers, to backups, to snapshots. So from one location, you can delete an entire company. If this would happen in a traditional network, the hacker would have to gain access to 5 or 7 different dashboard rights, the Windows managements, the backup managements, the Linux or other operating system management tools. 5, 6, 7 dashboards, you will not be able to perform such a big damage. But on one dashboard that controls everything, he managed to wipe out the entire company. So interfaces and APIs, they are the biggest weakness for cloud computing today. And we can see more and more. For instance, OpenSSL was hacked by hacking their provider, their website provider interfaces. Okay? Again, what we have in the cloud a lot of time is chain of attacks. Supply chain attacks. Because we have software companies building on top of platform as a service that themselves are installed on top of infrastructure as a service, we get much more attack surface because of supply chain attack. So we need to take a careful look on those data too. Denial of service. Denial of service in the last couple of years has been famous for the weapon of the hacktivist. Okay, I don't like the government of the United States because what they did to WikiLeaks. Let's DDoS them. I don't like some petroleum company for digging in the ocean. let's DDoS them. It happens a lot from the activist. And it happens usually because we don't maintain our infrastructure systems secure. We see more and more DNS reflection attacks and NTP reflection attacks. I will not go into details regarding what those attacks are, but I would say that it happens because we don't maintain our infrastructure services secure properly. But I want to say one more thing. DDoS attacks are not only for activists. For instance, the Code Spaces guy, the guy that erased the company I've mentioned the slide before, the hacker launched a DDoS attack as a way to distract Code Spaces people from the real attack. He launched a DDoS attack, and then he probably sent them an email, okay, I'm from Amazon, you have a DDoS attack, click here so I can show you what to do. And this is how we got access to their dashboard. So DDoS attacks, we see them more and more used as camouflage for the real attacks. Number 6, malicious insider. We are talking in the last couple of years in the security conferences, we're talking more and more about cyber threats, external threats, hackers. In the last years, we have forgot to talk about the insider threat, but it's still a big deal. And especially in cloud computing, because you're using a provider. A provider has his own personnel, which you don't control. They're not obliged to you. Sometimes they have their own issues. For instance, we know about Edward Snowden, who's in the picture. In the cloud, sometimes I would say an unhappy employee can cause so much damage. It happens to Microsoft when an employee deleted entire storage array. It happened, one unhappy employee in a storage company deleted an entire TV season, and you think about it, how much time and how much money went to waste due to that. And those are good examples for what a malicious insider can do and what threat he possesses to the company. Malicious insider is one of the things that is most troubling in cloud computing. And cloud providers are doing more and more in order to mitigate this risk. And you're using cloud services, sit down with your provider and understand how he do HR screening in order to prevent those attacks. Abuse of cloud services. When you're in the cloud, you're not alone, especially in public cloud, of course. You're along with somebody else. Who is the somebody else? Is it a friend or is it a foe? Or is it somebody who is abusing the cloud services and it will cause damage to you? A company that does SaaS services for the auto industry, they had a portal hosted on an external hosting provider. The same hosting provider was also hosting a malicious user that was loading child pornography into the same server. One day the FBI came and they took the entire server farm with them to map it as evidence. Along with the child pornography servers, they took also legitimate servers that company stopped operating the same day. A company lose their website because the FBI came in and took their servers. Even going to the court did not help because the court said, okay, let the FBI finish their investigation, then you will get your servers. When Mega Upload was closed by the FBI a couple of years ago, they closed it because users were uploading digital rights copied material, stuff that they were not allowed to upload. But also users who were hosting legitimate files over there lost the access to their data. So abusing of cloud services can affect you even though you're doing everything perfectly okay. Number 9, closing to the end. Insufficient due diligence. The cloud world is, I would say, unevenly distributed. We have 10, 15, 50, it doesn't really matter, but we have a large group of good cloud providers that know how to do their security, that have measured and understand what is cloud security is all about. And we have so so enormous number, so much other companies, enormous number of SaaS providers, software providers, that don't know how to really do cloud security. They don't know how to protect your data. The role of the CISO is to separate, is to take the good guys, is to understand how to differentiate between the good guys and the bad providers. And sometimes, if you rush into a cloud project without a sufficient due diligence, the problems you will encounter later on. Okay? Couple of months ago, one of the largest cloud providers called Nirvanix have announced that they are closing their service, and the customers have 1 week to take out their data. Now we're talking about teras, if not petas of data. The entire National Geographic library was on those servers, on those storage companies. So imagine taking out teras of data in 1 week when all other companies are doing the same. This is almost impossible. And back again to the fact, if your data availability is important to you, make sure you have external cloud data. And number 9, closing to the end, shared technologies vulnerabilities. We have discussed this a little bit in an interesting lecture 2 lectures ago about the physical, about the hardware thing that was discussed a couple of presentations ago. But I will summarize it this way. We don't really know how to do real separation between tenants today. Okay? We still don't know how to do it really separated. We have multi-tenancy. We are separating different customers into different, I would say, software environments, but we don't really know how to separate it. In the real world, the data for each customer would be encrypted in his own keys. We are far from it. We still see glitches. We still see customers. We still see tenants that can see, view other tenants' data due to bugs, due to improper separation. In the virtualization world, in the infrastructure world, we have basically solved this problem with some minor challenges. But when it comes to software, we still don't know how to build real multi-tenancy software. And this is a big risk. And you can see that some Windows Live, what used to be Hotmail, suffered from this problem. Users logged in, so other people's data. It happened to Dropbox, and it happens to many other providers. It's still a challenge that needs to be controlled. Those were the 9 cloud computing threats. Hopefully tomorrow, if you come to our lecture, we talk about the insecure instances attack vector and see how it's solved, not solved entirely, how we cope with this problem. And I hope you enjoyed this lecture. I'll be outside if you have any question or some other stuff you want to talk about. Thank you very much.